toilet training in special education. So there are multiple things that you need to consider when creating a toileting routine in your special education classroom. Here are a few of my tips and tricks that I've learned to help give you a better understanding of those toileting routines that we can do for our students. Number one, we have to consider the time. What is the time frame that you want to leave in between each toileting session? Whether you are working on getting your students out of pull-ups or diapers, or if you are trying to stop a child from having accidents throughout the day, you have to really figure out what is the best time in that time frame to catch the student before that action happens. So when I start with a new student and there is a goal of independent toileting in those routines, I always start them with a 30-minute time frame between those sitting sessions. Yes, it is very frequent, and once I get to know the student more, I may increase that time throughout their day. So typically, I use a class period as a reference to start. For example, a student would toilet every 45 minutes in a typical middle school bell schedule. And as the student learns the routine and I learn more about their own bathrooming habits, how frequently they usually go, I increase or decrease that time. Similarly, you will want to know how long your student will sit on the toilet for. So this is really important. For my students, we wait on the toilet for 10 minutes. During that time, they are to sit on the toilet and do nothing else. It's kind of the way to focus, right? For some other students, we may have them wait up to 20 minutes. You know your students best, so just really kind of consider that. There is a classroom visual next to my toilet for students to communicate when they are done or if they need more time, so they can request that too. So here's a mom tip for you. Turn on the faucet for a trickle of water to come out throughout so your student can start thinking about urinating. Sometimes that trickling water really does help. When I add more time onto their sitting on the toilet, I add 2 minutes at a time. I do each time as a student requests more time, and this way they learn that they are in control of their toileting routine as well. So be warned, your students may manipulate this time to get out of work. So use your best judgment with your students. They can add 1 more time, they can add 2 more times, whatever it is. Rewards, let's talk about that. So how do we use bathroom rewards? In a toilet routine, I only give the student a reward if they use the toilet appropriately and successfully. At the end of their sitting sessions, I have some students, so at the end of their sitting session, they get it. I have some students that need to request the bathroom and use the toilet before they can get their reward, but you can always work up to those skills. What kind of rewards should we use with our students? First, you need to take an interest inventory and figure out the items that will be most rewarding to your student. Once you find those 1 to 2 items that are reinforcing and appropriate for the bathroom, solely only use those during the toileting routines. That means never using them when they are not in the bathroom. It really does kind of help reinforce that positivity there. Previously, I had a student that would request to use the bathroom just to get the iPad. And the iPad reward item was agreed on by the previous IEP team and the family, so we followed that protocol. Needless to say, it didn't take long for me to learn that the student was manipulating the system to get the iPad and play games in the bathroom rather than being in class. The point of the story was just to make you sure that the rewards that you are giving are feasible and appropriate for the bathroom. You want them to be rewarding enough, but also appropriate for the toileting time, right? This isn't just fun and leisure. So number 3, we need to take data. Data drives instruction in a special education classroom. We track each toileting session for the students, and here are a few things that you should consider when taking data. If they are able to request to use the bathroom, your early learners of the toileting routine may not understand how to request the bathroom, and you will have to teach that. They may not also know if they have to go to the bathroom. Number 2, if they are wet or dry prior to the session. Number 3, if they actively use the toilet when in the bathroom. I also always leave an area for staff name and comments for those extra pieces of information. And I once had a student that would only use the bathroom when it was with me and not with my assistant. So this data was really important to know when making those future toileting decisions and those toileting routines. So what do I do with the data once I've tracked it all for about a month? When the data is taken consistently for a month, you need to kind of reevaluate that toileting schedule and that routine. And so I check and see the time frame between sessions. Is it enough? Does the student need a lot more longer gaps in between, those shorter gaps in between? If a student isn't having those accidents within a 45-minute period, do we wait in between those sessions a little bit longer? Do I try for an hour gap in between? Keep building up those times as long as they can, as long as they don't have accidents and those do not occur. Similarly, if you have a student that is having accidents between sessions, 45 minutes or so, decrease that time to 30 or look at the data to see how often they would get soiled. I do this same process with the amount of time that a student is sitting on the toilet when engaged in the toileting session, right? So it's actively doing it. Is there too much time? Is there not enough time? I need to kind of take a look at that. And finally, you need to consider how reinforcing that reward is for a successful toileting session. Reevaluate the reward to determine if this reward has lost its luster or it's still really motivating for your students to receive when they have used the toilet. Again, this is coming after. I repeat this cycle every month to determine the student's toileting readiness. And number 4, consistency. Most importantly, a teacher needs consistency when developing the toileting routine. If a child needs to be in the bathroom at 11 o'clock, and they should be in there at 11 o'clock, not 11:10. This consistency helps students develop an understanding that this is their time for the bathroom. Consistency also needs to happen at home. If independent toileting is a focus for the family, they need to also be doing that in the home. Many times I've had parents say that they want to teach their child, they want their child potty trained, but do not do these procedures at home. I have potty trained 6 students in my schooling in my career, and then 4 of these students were not toilet trained for home. So I know this is due to the number of reasons, but it's very difficult to explain to a parent that their child is potty trained and wears underwear at school and where there isn't much more that I can do for them at home. So families are forced to have their child wear pull-ups or diapers at home, and then due to that inconsistency is what I've really seen. So when you start the potty training journey in your special education classroom, really make sure that you have a clear conversation with families explaining that they really need to kind of follow that protocol at home as well to help promote that generalization and independence throughout the child's day. It's really what it comes down to. So here are some last pieces of information. How will I know when my student is ready for potty training? I feel like this is the biggest question I get. To determine if your student is ready for a toileting routine, you really need to make sure that you have a basic understanding of wet and dry. Can they tell you if they are wet? Can they, when they truly are? Can they accurately tell you that they are dry when they are actually dry? The next piece you really need to consider is exhibiting any of these toileting behaviors when they need to go to the bathroom, like that potty dance kind of thing. Similarly to a toddler, does your student hold themselves? Do they go into a corner? That kind of thing. And then does that kind of tell you when they need to go? These few behaviors can tell you more about a student's toileting routine readiness. I really hope you feel more confident in your toileting routines after listening to this. So if you have any other questions or concerns, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Thank you for watching today's video. If you're new here, make sure to click that like and subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. Click the bell to get notifications for when new videos get released or I go live. As always, leave a comment if you have any questions.